Mr. Combs feels A, he's innocent, which is why he's not going to plead guilty. B, he's going to be truthful about this case because he wants to portray that to the people who have loved him his whole life. And I think he also feels an obligation to people in general. Maybe it's black people, maybe it's white people, maybe it's anybody who's ever felt aggrieved and targeted by the government. He feels an obligation to those people to say, you know what, maybe I can break the model. Maybe I can show the world that a black man can win, in federal court. And I think he probably is the only person I know of who might be able to actually accomplish that.
Well, Bill and Sade, accepting a plea agreement would mean that Sean Combs would have to admit to trafficking and force. And today he made it very clear that was not going to happen. Diddy maintained all along these encounters involved consenting adults and plans to take his chances that a jury agrees.
What happens is if people go into a trial believing the firepower on the prosecution is so strong, I mean, let's say on a scale of 1 to 100, it's a 95 that it's so strong, but it goes down to an 88. That helps the defense because everybody goes in thinking, wow, they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and all of a sudden, none of it's there. I think that actually helps the defense.
Back up a little bit, please.
How can you support your father? How do you support him moving forward?
Diddy having to plead guilty to a lot of things that he absolutely did not do. Now, he's saying he didn't do any of this, right? He's been saying, I'm not guilty of any of this whatsoever. But there are certain things and certain allegations that are so absurd that Diddy's team feels like they don't even have evidence to even bring this into conversation. So he's not even going to plead guilty and give them any leeway to throw things on him or to build a case with those things. Now, I want to point to the fact that, when Jay-Z came out, the woman from 2000, the VMA Awards that said that Diddy and Jay-Z allegedly, that was dismissed once Jay-Z fought it, and that was one of the claims.
What made you come here to support Puff?
I'm supporting Puff because he's innocent, and I'm wholeheartedly believing his innocence, and I know he's innocent. So
you say you know he's innocent?
1,000%.
Diddy, who was sitting at the defense table with his attorneys, did not show any signs of emotion. He took a sip of water before he was led out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals. Now, his lawyers have vowed to fight this. They are going to be back in court on Wednesday before the judge who will oversee this trial and try to get Diddy to be released.
Major developments tonight involving the case against Sean Diddy Combs, what he decided in court today, and what this now means, the move coming just 4 days before his trial is set to begin. Here's Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, Sean Combs makes it official. He's rejecting the government's offer to plead guilty and spare himself the possibility of a prolonged term in prison. When asked if he turned down the offer, Combs answered, "Yes, I do, Your Honor," as he stood in a baggy beige jail uniform. Terms were not disclosed, but prosecutors did say a plea could result in a shorter sentence for Combs than if he's convicted.
Even with the plea isn't because they feel like the prosecutors don't feel like they don't have a strong case. You do that just, by operation, because if you don't do it, Diddy could come back after he's convicted, if he's convicted, and say, yo, they didn't have my best interest in mind, so I need to appeal this, because if they had my best interest, they wouldn't want me to just sit in jail. They would have helped me catch a break through a plea deal.
He knows the deck is stacked against him. They've got a ton of evidence. Take the plea deal, dude. Just take it.
Well, my guess is that, because we don't know the deal of the plea deal. At least I don't think we do.
True.
Okay.
The Diddy situation has been so muddied because of a lot of these civil cases and a lot of these things that are flooding the internet. That's not what he's on trial for.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
He has to fight it.
I want to also point out the Little Rod $30 million lawsuit. They decided not to move forward with that as well, too, because of the claims.
Now, as far as jury selection goes, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that both sides expect to have all of this done in the matter of 3 days. Now, given just how high profile this trial is, I was kind of stunned that they seem very confident that they will be able to seat a jury in that amount of time.
This is going to be such a massive trial, like maybe the biggest Hollywood trial. God knows which way it's going to go. Is it going to go on for weeks?
For sure, weeks.
At trial, Combs will ditch the jail garb and wear ordinary clothes, as his lawyers argue the evidence shows consenting adults being intimate in their own way.
Do you still think that because there is this public perception that there are celebrity tapes involved in this case.
No.
Do you still think that there are minors involved in this case?
I'm certain no.
Okay.
And again, when you say this case, we're talking the criminal case.
The criminal case.
In the
correct.
criminal,
I know that.
In the criminal case, no.
Alrighty, y'all. So Thursday, yesterday, the 1st of May, Diddy was in court, and he walked into court. He was there with his attorneys, Attorney Garrett Gross and Brian Steele, who was Young Thug's attorney in his trial. And he confirmed that he rejected the plea deal that we've been talking about in here. So he's in court, and the judge asked him, did you reject the plea deal? Diddy says, yes, I did. The judge is like, are you aware of the fact that you could potentially serve more time in prison because of the plea deal rejection if you were convicted? And Diddy told the judge that he did understand the stakes of what was on
this coming week is that there is, at least anecdotally, when I talk to people, they have that opinion, strongly held opinion, that there's celebrity tapes, that they've kind of conflated Epstein, and you mentioned Ghislaine Maxwell and all of these things into Diddy. There's this idea that somehow this is Epstein redux or something.
15 celebrities vanished from American soil within 6 weeks, and the FBI documented every departure. Their names appeared in a federal filing against Diddy, triggering panic across Hollywood. Streaming platforms throttled playlists. Tour. Insurers rewrote contracts. Fashion brands held emergency midnight meetings. But prosecutors claim one of them wasn't just running from a subpoena. You deserve to know what really happened. I'm working hard to build this channel, and I'd truly love your help. Why not hit subscribe and be part of this journey? Thursday morning, Brooklyn Federal Courthouse. Sean Diddy Combs stands in a baggy beige jail uniform, his voice steady as he faces the judge. Yes, I do, Your Honor. With those 4 words, he rejected a plea deal that could have saved him decades in prison. The prosecutors thought they had him cornered. Federal sex trafficking charges, racketeering counts stacked like dominoes, evidence they called overwhelming. They offered him a way out, plead guilty, serve less time. But Diddy wouldn't bend. Mr. Combs feels he's innocent, his attorney explained outside the courthouse. He wants to portray that to the people who have loved him his whole life. The lawyer paused, choosing his next words carefully. He feels an obligation to people in general. Maybe it's black people, maybe it's white people, maybe it's anybody who's ever felt aggrieved and targeted by the government. The stakes were astronomical. If convicted on all counts, Diddy faced life imprisonment. His legal team had already failed to secure bail 3 times. The same lawyers who couldn't even get him house arrest were now preparing for the trial of the century. But as Diddy prepared for trial, something unprecedented was happening outside the courthouse. At 7:58 a.m. on a cold February morning, a document landed on the court's electronic docket that sent shockwaves through entertainment circles. The FBI had been watching, recording, documenting. The filing read like an intelligence bulletin. 15 public figures, recording artists, producers, and 2 film actors, left U.S. jurisdiction in the 6-week window between the announcement of Combs's trial date and the start of pretrial motions. These weren't random tourists. The government had tracked specific individuals with ties to Diddy's empire. A multi-platinum R&B artist described as his protege, a chart-topping Latin trap star who'd collaborated with bad boy producers, a fashion influencer who'd styled his video shoots, a veteran actress whose charity foundation co-hosted galas at his properties. The document went deeper than anyone expected. Departure dates, destinations. In one shocking detail, the FBI noted someone had purchased diplomatic tier service at a private aviation terminal. They weren't just leaving, they were leaving in style. Within minutes, the filing triggered chaos. Entertainment lawyers speed-dialed clients. Publicists crafted emergency statements. Fan forums exploded with speculation. The government emphasized that travel wasn't evidence of wrongdoing, but the damage was done. What the FBI didn't reveal was why they cherry-picked these specific names. The prosecutor's strategy emerged like a photograph developing in darkroom chemicals. They weren't accusing anyone of crimes, yet, but by documenting these departures, they were building something more subtle. leverage. Subpoenas must be served within U.S. jurisdiction, the filing noted. If witnesses were abroad, getting their testimony could take months through foreign legal channels. Some countries might not cooperate at all. The defense team saw it differently. The government is sowing sensational headlines, they argued, effectively painting benign tour itineraries as flight from justice. They had a point, many departures aligned with pre-scheduled concerts and film shoots, but the timing was suspicious. Why did 15 specific individuals all happen to leave within the same 6-week window? The FBI's answer lay buried in seized data from earlier raids, cloud backups, phone records, guest lists, RSVP spreadsheets. They'd cross-referenced event attendance with exit timestamps, creating a matrix of potential witnesses. One name stood out. The R&B protege had left 3 days after receiving what sources called an informal notice from investigators. The Latin trap star's departure coincided with his manager canceling all U.S. press appearances. The fashion influencer had suddenly extended a Paris shoot by 6 weeks. As social media exploded with theories, trending hashtags split the internet. Stand with Diddy versus flight from justice. Talk radio couldn't resist. Were these stars fleeing subpoenas or following schedules? Still here? That means this story matters to you too. If you haven't yet, please tap subscribe. It would mean the world to me as we uncover even more. But behind closed doors, brands were already calculating the damage. Inside conference rooms across Manhattan, marketing executives stared at crisis spreadsheets. The FBI filing had transformed routine business decisions into reputation time bombs. One athletic apparel company discovered their newly signed influencer appeared on the list. The midnight conference call was tense. Should they proceed with a campaign already shot overseas? Legal flagged the morality clause. Finance calculated. Contract penalties. PR modeled viral backlash scenarios. The CEO made the call at 3 a.m. Delay everything. Tour insurance underwriters added a new line item to their risk matrices. Subpoena vulnerability zones. If an artist played Berlin Monday and Madrid Thursday, that Wednesday layover suddenly carried legal exposure. A process server with international authority could intercept at any hotel, forcing a rapid return to testify. Streaming platforms faced their own dilemma. Their algorithms naturally boosted controversial artists. Drama meant engagement, but corporate responsibility teams worried about appearing to monetize legal spectacle. The solution came in a memo marked Conflict Dampening Protocol. Quietly throttle certain playlists, redirect recommendations, avoid any appearance of exploiting the scandal. Behind the scenes, data showed something unexpected. As mainstream aware platforms pulled back, underground fan communities surged. Catalog streams of the named artists actually increased. Loyalty was polarizing. You either abandoned your favorites or doubled down. Concert promoters scrambled to rewrite contracts. New clauses emerged. If legal summons interrupted performances, who paid? Artists pushed back. Why should they bear costs for unpredictable subpoenas? Insurance premiums skyrocketed as nobody wanted the liability. As corporations scrambled, prosecutors deployed an international chess game. The machinery of international law creaked into motion. Each celebrity required a separate mutual legal assistance treaty request. 200 pages of translated documents, certified indictments, sworn declarations that testimony was material and not sought for harassment. A single typo could delay everything. One missing passport digit meant weeks of diplomatic back and forth. The Latin trap star's packet went to Spain, Brazil, and Morocco. The R&B artists covered France, Germany, and Japan. Each country moved at its own bureaucratic pace. But Diddy's defense team had been studying the same list, and they'd found something prosecutors didn't want public. Several high-profile names were conspicuously absent. A superstar DJ had flown to Dubai the same week. No mention. A rock guitarist launched a South American stadium tour, not listed. Selective enforcement, the defense memorandum declared. They attached social media proof that these artists had also left the country. The message was clear. The FBI had cherry-picked names for maximum headline impact, not legal relevance. Prosecutors fired back. Only people with direct knowledge of events in the indictment made the list. The seized communications proved relevance. This wasn't about publicity. It was about securing testimony before memories faded or stories aligned. The cat and mouse game intensified. Some celebrities posted tour contracts online, proving dates, were locked months earlier. Others went silent, starving the media cycle. A few launched sudden charity campaigns, redirecting attention to good works. Remote testimony became the backup plan, but it carried risks. Video depositions lacked courtroom impact. Translation delays could disrupt cross-examination. Judges preferred live witnesses when possible. But inside that Brooklyn courtroom, Diddy's real reason for rejecting the plea was about to surface. The revelation came through his legal team, shared in careful confidence with select journalists. Diddy wasn't just fighting charges, he was fighting history. Maybe I can show the world that a black man can win in federal court, he'd told his inner circle. Maybe I can break the model. The federal conviction rate exceeded 95%. For high-profile defendants, it approached 99%. The odds were astronomical, but cracks had already appeared in the prosecution's foundation. Jay-Z's recent case dismissal over the 2000 VMA allegations showed how quickly claims could crumble under scrutiny. The $30 million Little Rod lawsuit had stalled. Multiple civil cases were being withdrawn due to what Diddy's team called outrageous claims with no evidence. His lawyer put it bluntly, the same thing is happening on the criminal side. People have begun to pile on. They pointed to dismissed cases as proof. Once challenged, many allegations evaporated like morning mist. The FBI's celebrity list might have been meant to pressure Diddy toward a plea. Instead, it revealed something else. The government's case relied heavily on witness testimony from people who'd conveniently left the country. If they couldn't serve subpoenas, could they prove their case? Sources close to Diddy revealed his mindset had shifted. This wasn't just about him anymore. He's probably the only person I know who might actually accomplish that, one advisor noted. The impossible verdict. The precedent-shattering win. As jury selection began Monday, both sides expected to seat 12 people in just 3 days. The speed suggested confidence, or desperation. The biggest Hollywood trial in decades was about to begin, and the whole world was watching. The FBI can track celebrity flights, prosecutors can file dramatic motions, corporations can calculate risk. But in that Brooklyn courtroom, something larger than algorithms and exit visas was at stake. A man in a beige prison uniform had looked at the full weight of federal power and said 4 words, "Yes, I do, Your Honor." The model was about to be tested, and whether Diddy won or lost, the music industry would never be the same.
Those are all civil. That's not into the criminal stuff.
Yes, but I pointed to those because those claims, even civilly, just show how outrageous, according to my source and according to what I believe Diddy's legal team is looking at, the claims can get when it comes to Puff in this situation because people have begun to pile on. So what I'm being told is the same thing is happening on the criminal side. And on top of it happening on the criminal side, there is no evidence allegedly to back up the piling on of these different things. So Puff is saying he wants to go to court, he wants to fight it. So I will say normally and most typically in a court case, especially this high stake, that's what you do. It's literally like a protection. It's like, let me get this out the way and offer it. We know he probably won't take it, but let's just do it so that we can check this box real quick.
The lawyers that he was with this whole time that couldn't even get him a bond, are they still around as well? Or he got rid of them?
Some of them are. Some of them are.
I wouldn't trust the same lawyers who can't even get me a bond to, win a trial for me.
Diddy's lawyers had argued that he had made good faith efforts by showing up in New York, ready to surrender to face these charges. But prosecutors said that he could not be trusted, that he has a history of trying to intimidate witnesses, including some who are going to be witnesses in this case. They urged the judge to remand him.
Isn't that, to my mind, that's one of the bigger hurdles in selecting a jury thing.
Would you be open to a plea bargain?
Well, it's not up to me. It's up to Mr. Combs, and I don't see it happening.
Why?
Because he believes he's innocent. He believes he's innocent, and what's more, he believes that he needs to stand up, not just for himself, for his family, and for everybody who's been targeted by the federal government.
The line.
We have the latest from federal court in the Sean Combs criminal case. Status of jury selection, what Diddy's going to be wearing, violation of a gag order, rejecting a plea offer.
The last hearing before Sean Combs' trial starts, when he walked into federal court today, he appeared to be looking for his family. They've pretty much been at all of the hearings that I've been to, but there was no presence of his sons or his mother or his sister who had previously been at those hearings.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs back behind bars. A magistrate judge denying him bail, saying that there were no conditions that she could conceive of that would make her confident that he would appear again for other court appearances. The judge saying, my concern is this is a crime that happens behind closed doors.
Elaborate, sometimes days-long parties by coercing victims through drugs, threats, and manipulation. They claim to have video evidence, and some of the accusations echo details from over 70 civil lawsuits filed against Combs over the last 30 years.